Hey, this is Chase from ShotScience.com, and welcome to the in-depth jump training tutorial, where we're going to give you the tools to help improve your vertical leap and help you build your own personalized jump training program. Alright, the third pillar of the vertical leap series is strength, or more accurately, coordinated muscle activation. Now what that means is it means to learn how to coordinate our muscles and how to activate our muscles in a sequence. So we're not working on developing specific muscle fiber strength, we're actually trying to learn how to improve that signaling from our brain to our muscle. And this is called the neuromuscular pathway. Now when we work on improving that brain-muscle interaction, we learn how to activate our muscles when we want to so that we sequence them better, and we actually use more of the muscle and more of the muscle fibers to help improve our vertical leap. Now it's really important to learn what it feels like to activate certain muscles and what it feels like to activate more of the muscle fibers. So a lot of the muscles that we forget to use when we're jumping are some of our major muscle groups like our glutes or our hamstrings, and we usually focus on just our quads. So the training program for this section is going to really focus on teaching you how to activate our glute muscles, how to activate our quads, how to activate our hamstrings as well, and really try to sequence those muscles so that we can maximize our vertical leap. Now another important aspect of our strength training segment is to really focus on fixing some of the imbalances in our muscles of our lower body. Now in most athletes, the quads are much stronger than the glutes or the hamstrings, and this can be a problem when we go to jump. So our program is really going to focus on activating our glutes and our hamstrings and really learning to strengthen those muscles so that they can improve their strength compared to the quads. Now typically in the first 3 to 4 weeks of a strength training program, athletes will really see a jump in their strength. This actually isn't an increase at all in the muscular strength, it's actually an increase in that brain to muscle interaction where we really learn how to activate those muscles. Now for the strength training program, I'm going to give you 3 basic exercises to work on engaging the glutes and the hamstrings, and then we're going to go into 2 functional movement patterns to really work on strengthening while we're moving. The first exercise to help us learn to engage the glutes is just a standing glute squeeze. So what I want you to do is just stand, put your hands on your hips, and focus on rolling your hips backwards where we squeeze our glutes in. Now what you want to do is really focus on squeezing those glutes and really engaging those muscles so you can really feel what that contraction feels like. Now the second exercise is a follow-up to the first exercise, the standing glute squeeze. And this is a glute bridge. So go ahead and come down to the ground and you're going to lay on your back with your knees bent and your hands out to the side. You're going to really focus on coming up into a bridge position and really squeezing those glutes and trying to tuck your hips underneath. Now just like in the first exercise where you really focus on feeling that glute squeeze, that's exactly what you want to do in this exercise. Really focus on what it feels like to squeeze those glutes as we come up into the bridge. Now the third exercise is just a variation of the glute bridge, and this is a hamstring bridge. What you want to do is you want to move your feet just a little further out so that when you come up into that bridge, you can dig your heels into the ground and really focus on activating your hamstrings. Another way to really help you feel that hamstring contraction is to lift your toes off the ground and point them up into the air. This will really help you dig those heels in the ground and feel what it feels like to really squeeze those hamstrings. Now once you've gone through those 3 exercises, we can move on to the functional movement patterns. And these are the squat and the lunge. So let's start with the squat. Now you've probably all done squats before or at least seen somebody do a squat. But what we're trying to do here is we're not going to weight this exercise, we're not going to put weight on our shoulders, we want to do just body weight squat, and we don't want to focus on doing a high volume, we just really want to focus on activating certain muscle groups. So go ahead and come into the squat position with your feet about shoulder width apart, and I want you to start to sit down like we're sitting into a chair with the weight in our heels. Now you want to really focus on sticking your butt outwards as you go down, and then as we come back up, we're going to squeeze through our quads, and then at the top of our squat, really feel what it feels like to squeeze the glutes, much like we felt in the standing glute squeeze and the bridge. Now once you've learned what it feels like to engage those muscles in the squat movement pattern, you should take that exercise and really focus on enhancing those movements so you can really feel the glutes squeeze, you can really feel the hamstrings activate, and you can really feel the quads activate as you go through that exercise. Now it might seem kind of silly just to do this very simple exercise, but it's actually really important to really teach that brain-muscle interaction of what it feels like to actively engage those muscles as we go through a squat movement. Now a lot of times when we're jumping, we fail to use a lot of these major muscle groups like the glutes and the hamstrings to help us activate all of that energy stored in the muscles of our lower body. So it's really important to learn to use these muscles so they can really help us spring up into the air as opposed to just using one muscle group, which we've probably been used to most of our life. Now the last functional exercise of the strength section is the lunge. Now what you want to do to perform a lunge is you want to step forward with your right foot and drop your left knee towards the ground. Now really focus on not letting that right knee come over our front toe, and make sure that our shoulders are stacked on top of our hips so we're not leaning forward over our knee. Now there's a couple ways that we can really use this exercise to focus on quad activation or glute and hamstring activation. So first let's talk about quad activation. One way to really get the quads involved and really feel the quads is to do a shallow lunge. And what this means is you take a very short step and really focus on dropping the back knee towards the ground. This will really work the quad of the back knee. Now to change that exercise and work on the glute, you want to take a much longer step. Now this much longer step is going to really help you activate the glute and the hamstring or the posterior aspect of the leg when you come down into that lunge. So as you're going through these two exercises, really focus on what it feels like to activate the quad in the shallow lunge, and then really feel what it feels like to activate the glute and the hamstring of the wide lunge. Now using these 5 basic exercises, the 3 activation exercises and the 2 functional movement exercises, you can really learn to teach yourself to use the muscles that are vital to increasing your vertical leap. Now the 4th pillar of the vertical leap series is the power segment. And the power segment should come after the first 3 pillars, which are the mobility, stability, and strength. We want to focus on developing the foundation of those 3 segments, and then we can move into the power series. And this usually takes 2 to 3 months after we've built an initial stability, mobility, and strength program. So essentially the power training segment of our vertical leap program is a melding of the stability, mobility, and strength that we've worked on in the first part of our training program. So you can use what you've learned in those other segments and really focus them into basketball-specific game speed movements that we can use to enhance our training. Now it might be tempting just to jump straight into the power segment of the training program. And this is actually what most vertical leap series programs do. But it's important to focus on developing the foundation of mobility, stability, and strength because it'll really help us enhance our power segment and really enhance the results that we can get from it. Now choosing to use the Shot Science Vertical Leap program is going to help you build that solid foundation so you can get the most results out of a power training program. So let's check out a couple exercises that you can use to really improve your basketball-specific training. Now the first exercise that we want to do are what we call 2-foot max jumps. And what we're going to do is we're going to come into a squat position, we're going to get a counter movement downwards with our arms, and we're going to swing up with our arms and try to get off the ground as high as we can. Now when we land, we want to land nice and soft and try not to make much sound to really lessen the impact on our knees. As we land, we should also bend our knees and come back down into a squat position. Now once we've managed to go through that whole sequence, we want to take just a quick second break and then go again straight up into a max jump. Now once you've done 6 to 8 of these max jumps, then we can do repetitive max jumps, where we take one jump, bend down into our squat, get the counter movement, explode upwards, and then once we land, go right back up into the jump so they're one after the other, and really work on mimicking that rebounding movement. Now another key component to game-specific movement patterns is the lateral hop to max jump. So what we can do with this one is we can do the same exercises we did before, but add a lateral hop in. So what we might do is we might start in a lunge position, jump from our left foot and land on 2 feet to the side, and then bounce straight up into a jump as high as we can. Now the last exercise in this power training segment are the one-leg drives. And what we want to do to perform this exercise is find a solid object that we can place one of our feet on. So let's start with our left foot. Let's place that left foot up onto that object and really work on driving out of that top leg up and over the object, and then land with our right leg. And then we're going to perform this straight back to the other side. We can pause in between, and then we can go repetitive jumps like we did in the first exercise. Now those are just a couple basic exercises that you can work on through the power segment. And remember, you want to really focus on the first 3 segments and develop that solid foundation before you even consider doing some of the power movements. Now the exercises that we gave you in this vertical training program should help you for the first 2 to 3 months to really get your training program going. Now we'll be continuing to put out lots of new videos that you can add to your training program to really help you optimize your training performance. So check back often so that you can update your program and keep us up to date on your progress. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to tune in next time.